All right, so, you've all been sending in articles about this cybersecurity skills shortage. It seems like everyone's talking about it. Feels like it's constantly in the headlines, right? So, we're going to do a deep dive today, try to figure out what's really going on, what it all means for you. I mean, cybersecurity, it's kind of a big deal these days, right? Our whole digital world depends on it. But there's this massive problem.
Yeah.
Not enough people who can actually do the work. We're talking something like 250,000 unfilled jobs in the US alone. That's pretty wild. But then at the same time, you see all these headlines about tech layoffs, right? So how does that even make sense? And then on top of everything, we've got AI coming in, changing the game in cybersecurity. Could be good, could be bad. I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm already a little lost.
Okay.
So thank goodness we have our expert here to help us make sense of it all. What's the real story here? Is this shortage just hype or is there something more to it?
Well, the shortage is definitely real, and it's a problem that's not going away anytime soon. In fact, it's probably going to get worse. There's this group called CyberSeek. They track all this cybersecurity workforce data, and they estimate that only about 83% of those open cybersecurity jobs are actually filled right now.
Wait, hold on. 83%. So, like, for every 10 cybersecurity jobs out there, two are just sitting empty.
Yeah, pretty much. And think about what that means for you. Yeah. For everyday people. If companies can't find the right people to protect their systems, their data, then all our stuff online, all our personal information, it's at risk.
Okay, yeah, that is kind of scary. But strong cybersecurity, that's always been important, right? So, what's making this shortage so urgent right now? Why is everyone freaking out about it?
Well, there's a few things going on. I think the biggest one is probably the pandemic, like its lasting impact. Think about it. Everyone suddenly had to go online for everything, working from home, online shopping, even just like hanging out with friends. Everything was virtual.
Hmm.
And that created a much bigger target for these cyber criminals, right?
Yeah, right. Like, basically, giant open for business sign for hackers.
Exactly. And they're not messing around either. The Better Business Bureau, they found that the average loss for people who fall for these online investment scams, it went from $1,000 in 2021 to almost $6,000 in 2024.
Whoa, $6,000. That's rough.
Yeah, it is. These cyber attacks are getting more sophisticated, more costly all the time.
No wonder businesses are scrambling to find people who can protect them.
Right. And it's not the same across the board either. Some industries are getting hit harder than others, like finance and professional services. They're the ones dealing with all that really sensitive data, so they're feeling the pressure the most.
Makes sense. So we've got this huge shift to online activity, attacks getting crazier. But you also mentioned AI. How's that changing things in cybersecurity?
AI is interesting. It's kind of the double-edged sword in this whole thing.
Right.
On the one hand, it's becoming essential for defense, right? Hackers are using AI to launch these super advanced attacks. So cybersecurity pros need AI-powered tools just to keep up. You need things like these threat intelligence platforms. They use machine learning to analyze tons of data, try to spot attacks before they happen.
So it's like an AI arms race.
Pretty much. And that means cybersecurity professionals need a whole new set of skills. Got to understand how to work with AI, interpret the data it spits out, use it strategically.
So it's not just needing more people in cybersecurity, but those people need to be AI savvy on top of everything else.
Yeah, exactly. CyberSeek found that job postings that specifically ask for AI skills in cybersecurity, they've gone up by over 7% in just the past year. It's becoming the standard, not just a bonus.
Makes sense. It's like if the bad guys all suddenly start speaking Klingon, the good guys better learn it too if they want to stand a chance.
That's actually a pretty good analogy.
Right. It really highlights how fast things are changing in this field. But I'm still stuck on those tech layoff headlines. All these companies letting people go, even some big names. You'd think that would mean more experienced cybersecurity people are out there looking for work, right?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? And that's what makes this situation so weird. Like, it's a paradox. Even with the tech boom, then things slowing down, the demand for cybersecurity, it just never went away. And it's not just about the number of people, it's people with the right skills and at the right price, which is another whole issue.
So companies are being like super picky.
Not picky necessarily, but they have to be careful. They need people with very specific skills: cloud security, threat hunting, incident response. And those skills are in high demand. It's tough to find the right people, especially for smaller companies that can't offer those crazy salaries like the big tech giants.
So yeah, sounds like a real talent war out there. But what about people who don't have that classic computer science degree? Is that the only way into this field? Because that seems pretty limiting, right?
That's actually a big misconception. And honestly, it's part of the problem. This idea that you need a 4-year degree to even think about cybersecurity, it's just not true anymore. There are folks out there, like Rodney Peterson. He's leading this national initiative for cybersecurity education, really pushing for more diverse paths into the field. He's been a big advocate for things like Cybersecurity Career Week, trying to show people that there are tons of ways to build a successful cybersecurity career. You don't always need that fancy degree.
So you're saying someone listening to this right now, someone who maybe took a different path, they could still have a shot. That's pretty encouraging. But what kind of skills are we talking about? What could transfer over?
Lots of things. You'd be surprised. Strong problem solving, analytical thinking, attention to detail, even good communication skills are huge in this field.
Wait, communication skills? Really? For cybersecurity, why is that so important?
Because it's not just about computers, right? It's about people, too. You got to be able to explain these complicated technical things to people who don't understand all the jargon. You need to work well in teams and even like understand how hackers try to manipulate people, with social engineering and stuff.
Right, yeah. I was picturing someone alone in a dark room, hunched over a keyboard. Not exactly a team player.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a stereotype we need to break.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity, it's a really diverse field. There's room for all sorts of people, all sorts of skills.
All right, starting to feel a little better about this whole thing, but you also said something before about upskilling, like the need for constant learning in cybersecurity. What did you mean by that?
Well, technology changes so fast,
Right.
and the threats are always evolving. What you know today might not be enough tomorrow. So you got to be learning all the time. Individuals and companies need to embrace this whole lifelong learning thing. Amy Cardell, she's a leader at CompTIA, that's a big tech industry association. She said best companies need to change their mindset, invest in their people.
So it's not just about finding the right people, it's making sure they stay skilled, keep learning.
Exactly. It's about building a culture of constant learning, giving people the resources and support they need to stay ahead of the game. And that's true for anyone in cybersecurity, no matter how experienced they are.
Okay, we've got a lot to unpack here. It's not just finding more people, it's finding the right ones, giving them the right skills, then making sure they keep learning. Sounds kind of daunting, to be honest. So, is it all doom and gloom? Or are there some positive things to take away from all of this?
It's definitely a challenge, but I honestly see it as an opportunity for companies to rethink how they find and develop talent, and for individuals to consider a field with huge potential.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So let's talk about solutions. What can we actually do about this skills shortage? What are some concrete steps?
Well, one really promising area is the rise of these alternative paths into cybersecurity careers. Like we're moving away from that whole you got to have a degree thing. Boot camps, certifications, apprenticeships, they're all becoming much more accepted as ways to get into the field.
So, like, instead of 4 years of college, you could do a boot camp, get certified, boom, you're a cybersecurity pro.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of support for that kind of thing now. The U.S. Department of Labor, they even have this registered apprenticeship program specifically for cybersecurity. You get on-the-job training, plus you're taking classes, so you're learning and earning at the same time.
Now, that's a system I can get behind. Earn while you learn. Wish they had that for podcasting. But what about getting kids interested even earlier? Like, before they even finish high school?
Oh, that's so important. Got to catch them young, right? Show them that cybersecurity is cool, exciting, something they can actually make a difference with. There are groups like Girls Who Code. They're doing amazing work introducing girls to coding and tech.
Oh, yeah. And I've heard of this program called Cyber Patriot. Is that the same kind of thing?
Yep. Cyber Patriots, this national youth cybersecurity competition run by the Air Force Association. It's basically like a giant capture the flag game. Teams of students, they compete to defend these virtual networks from attacks. So they're learning all these hands-on cybersecurity skills, teamwork, problem solving, all in this like fun competitive setting.
So esports, but for cybersecurity. Love it. That's got to get kids hooked.
It totally does. A lot of Cyber Patriot alumni, they end up going into computer science, cybersecurity in college. Some even get jobs right out of high school.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've got these alternative paths, programs for kids. What about people who are already working? Like they're thinking about switching careers. Is there any hope for them to like upskill and move into cybersecurity?
Definitely. Companies are realizing that their current employees, they're a goldmine, right? They already know the company culture, the business. So there are companies like IBM. They have programs like Skills Build. It's free online training in cybersecurity, other in-demand fields.
Free training. Sign me up. But it sounds like companies really need to step up, support their employees in this whole upskilling thing.
For sure. It's good for everyone, right? You invest in upskilling, you create a more skilled, more adaptable workforce, makes your company stronger, more competitive. It's a win-win.
Yeah, I agree. But this whole skills gap, it's a huge problem. Feels kind of systemic, you know? Can we really fix it just by having more training programs?
It's going to take more than just training. It needs to be a multi-pronged approach, and everyone needs to work together. We're starting to see some good examples of industry and academia teaming up, trying to bridge the gap.
Oh, like what kind of collaborations are we talking about?
Well, look at Microsoft, for example. They've partnered with a bunch of universities, creating cybersecurity-specific degree programs, giving students real-world experience through internships. They even offer scholarships, mentorship, trying to help students succeed.
So it's not just companies whining about the lack of skilled people. They're actually putting their money where their mouth is, investing in building the workforce they need.
Exactly. They're realizing they can't just sit around and wait for the perfect candidate to show up. Got to be proactive.
That's really cool. But let's be real, a lot of companies, they hesitate to spend money, especially when the economy is a little shaky. So what's the best argument for investing in cybersecurity skills? Why should they care?
Think about it. One cyber attack. That's all it takes to cripple a company, especially a smaller one. We're not just talking about money here. You could lose your reputation, customer trust. You could get hit with huge fines. Investing in cybersecurity, it's really about managing risk, protecting your business's future.
Right. Like they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But I think a lot of people hear cybersecurity and they think it's super technical, complicated. Like, where do you even begin if you're interested?
That's a great point, and that's another problem we need to solve. This idea that cybersecurity is only for, like, tech geniuses. It's not true. There are tons of roles that need a broader set of skills. Communication, project management, even psychology can be super valuable.
Wait, psychology, what does that have to do with cybersecurity?
Well, a lot of cyber attacks, they rely on tricking people, right?
Yeah.
Phishing emails, social engineering scams
Yeah.
that take advantage of human weaknesses. If you understand psychology, you can anticipate those risks, figure out how to protect against them. It's like thinking like a hacker, but for good.
Huh. Never thought about it that way. So even if you're not a coding whiz, there's still a place for you in the cybersecurity world.
Totally. And that's something we need to shout from the rooftops. Cybersecurity, it's a huge field, and there are roles for all kinds of people.
Okay, so I'm hearing tons of openings, not enough skilled people to fill them, classic supply and demand. So basically, jobs in cybersecurity are guaranteed right now.
The demand is definitely through the roof. Job prospects are excellent. CyberSeek, they found that job postings for entry-level cybercrime analyst roles, they've gone up by 23% in just the past year. Even mid-level senior positions, they're all seeing big increases.
So if someone's thinking about a career change, cybersecurity should be at the top of the list.
It's worth considering, for sure. We're seeing people from all sorts of backgrounds making the jump into cybersecurity and doing really well. We talked about boot camps, apprenticeships, but even experience in things like finance, law enforcement, the military. Those skills often translate really well to cybersecurity.
Sounds exciting, but can you give us an example, like a real story about someone who made this kind of switch and found success? I think that would help people visualize it.
Yeah, totally. I was talking to this woman recently. She was working as a paralegal, feeling kind of stuck. So she decided to do a cybersecurity boot camp, got her certified ethical hacker certification, and landed a job as a security analyst at a big financial company, all within a few months.
Wow, from paralegal to security analyst, that's a big chain.
It is, but it shows you, with the right training, the motivation, you can totally do it. And her story doesn't end there. Within 2 years, she got promoted to an incident response analyst. So now she's handling these high-pressure situations, leading investigations.
So it's not just entry-level jobs. There's room to grow, to move up.
Exactly. And it's not just about the job security, the good salary, although those are nice perks. It's also about the impact you can have. Cybersecurity professionals, they're the ones protecting our whole digital world, our data, our privacy, everything. It's a tough job, but it's super rewarding.
Yeah, it's not just a job, it's a mission. I love that. But, you know, with all this talk about opportunity, let's not pretend it's all easy. What are some of the challenges people face when they get into cybersecurity? What should they be prepared for?
That's a good question. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, right?
Yeah.
Cybersecurity can be high pressure, especially when you're dealing with real threats, real attacks. You got to be able to stay calm, think clearly, even when things are going crazy. And you got to be comfortable with always learning new stuff.
Mm.
Because like we said, the bad guys, they never stop innovating.
So, yeah, not a job for everyone, but for the right person, sounds like it could be a really amazing career. We've covered a lot in this deep dive. The skills shortage, what's causing it, some potential solutions. We even heard some cool stories about people switching careers, finding success in cybersecurity. But before we wrap things up, I want to bring it back to you, the listener.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Right. It's all about what you take away from this, what
Mhm.
stood out to you, what got you thinking. Maybe you're thinking about a career change now, or maybe you're just more aware of how important online security is. Take a second to think about that. Whatever you're feeling, I hope this deep dive gave you a better understanding of this whole cybersecurity skills shortage thing. It's a big, complicated issue, but it affects all of us.
Yeah, it's not just a tech industry problem. It's a problem for everyone.
Right. The more we rely on technology, the more important cybersecurity becomes.
Exactly. It's about protecting our data, our infrastructure, our whole way of life, really.
Yeah, it's kind of like protecting our future, you
Yeah.
know?